And we're live. As always, all the machines and everything you've seen in that intro video were all designed in Alibre. So today it's me and Adam from Weekday Weekend. I think Steve has some prior engagements and Kostas couldn't make it, but stick with us and we're going to cover a live demonstration of weldments and what weldments look like. And as always, feel free to throw any questions in the chat and we'll get started.
Yeah.
Adam, in case anybody hasn't been here and hasn't seen you before, you want to tell us about you and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Adam. I do a YouTube channel called Weekday Weekend. I cover 3D printing, CAD, video games, kind of all the kind of stuff you normally do on the weekend, ever expanding my skills. I have a website, weekdayweekend.net, where you can practice your CAD skills with some drawings. Enter the mask on a leaderboard. It's all free. No ads, no sign up, no logins, no nothing like that. Um, a couple models on printables that are been making the rounds, and yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Adam is a humble guy, very approachable, but let me tell you, this Weekday Weekend project is really taking off. There are some cool models on there. There's an upcoming event. I don't know if I should talk about it more or not. And
Well,
go
we're
ahead.
hoping there's going to be an upcoming event, but and I'm really hoping there is, but we're not going to say too much just in case. But
Yeah.
we're hoping.
And you should check out the CAD workshop because I love those models on there.
There's even some even better models now that have been submitted by Joseph, the man with the plan himself. So
Yes, for anyone who doesn't know, we usually have Alex on here who helps moderate the
I believe
comments and
he
keep track of
is.
everything. And
He
I
joined in
call him the man with the plan, and he calls me the lad with the CAD. So we got
live
to
with the
come up with
cat.
a good moniker for Adam.
Alex, are you here? Because he's popped
I,
in
I
for a
am
second.
here, Joseph. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am in here.
Oh, awesome! I
I
didn't
was
even
saying
know
you
the man
popped
with the
in while you
plan
were in
was
the
there.
restroom. So yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we're so
Oh,
glad. Okay, this is going to be a great stream officially now.
we got
Um,
let's see, St. Louis. You guys, we got okay. Who all we got? Where's everyone from, guys? We got hello from Phoenix, obviously from Alibre. I'm from Michigan. We got St. Louis here. Where's everyone from? We got 28 people in the chat. Good to see it. Good to see everybody on this beautiful Friday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're from. Evening, maybe.
it all depends. It looks like we got Steve on the line. We're gonna get Steve in here.
Hey, all right.
Let's see. We're gonna do director's voice here. Show on stream. Steve, how are
Hey,
you?
there he is. Oh,
Hello.
Steve, good to see
hello.
you.
Oh, well, hang on. Now I'm left out. Hang on a second.
we we were not feeling whole without you, Steve. We had this bitterness in our hearts.
I thought we were going to say one of these presenters not like the other one.
Well, I better make it fit a little better first while you guys do your introductions. Maybe we should introduce Steve here.
Yeah. So, Steve, if anyone hasn't seen you, tell us about yourself, and then we'll dive into some cool stuff.
So my name's Steve. I am a content creator on YouTube and also on Twitch, but predominantly YouTube. I am a UK-based maker, hobbyist that gets himself into all sorts of trouble being in things that I have no business being in, such as laser cutting, CNC, CAD, programming, just, just causing havoc.
That's our favorite thing. I love causing havoc. It's the best.
It's what makes life fun, right?
Absolutely. So I have a question that came up in the forum that I think is totally worth taking a look at. If you don't mind me jumping in here.
Let's do it.
So I've got a user that has asked, and hopefully does my screen look intelligible?
Yeah, we're missing Steve on the bottom corner, though. So
Let's
I'm sure
add
we'll
Steve
get
in
that.
here. So
There we go.
oh,
There we go. Now
there we go. So we had this question of, I've got this kind of curvy vase looking thing, and I'm doing a cut through it, and I expect the cut to be flat because, if you were to hold this up to like a belt sander or something, you get a big flat spot. And how do we make something flat like that? Loved the question and thought, how could I make something like that actually be flat. So I'd like to work that on the air. Hopefully that viewer from the forum is watching. I invited them onto the live stream. Oh, and it looks like we have someone on with us that will ask a question, so we'll get to that too. This is going to be a great stream, guys. First off, I think if we come at it from the side, that forces it to be flat, right? No matter how we go about it. And then we'll extrude through all. Now, the big problem or elephant in the room, and maybe I could be a little bit cleaner about this, is now we have a flat surface right here. And we obviously don't want that flat surface, but we still want this to be flat over here. So how I might deal with that is create a sketch on that flat surface, and we're going to see if Alibre likes this or not, right? So I convert just this outer surface into our sketch, and then I'll run an extrude cut, and we'll go towards the inside. And there we have something that's flat, but also has walls that would be more consistent with doing that cut inwards. So I thought that was a really awesome question, and I'm glad that it was asked.
I don't know, 0 out of 10, not enough surfacing.
Well, hopefully we'll get into some surfacing here too. I've got MHR on the line, so let's see if we can get you on with us. I'm going to do director's voice here. All right, MHR, can you hear us? Oh, hopefully we're... Oh, and I think MHR has mysteriously vanished. Okay, so
if you're still there, MHR, come on back, and we'll get you back on when we can.
Perfect. I see another question here. I'd like to make ergonomics checks in virtual reality, but everything that I found is a 100 per month subscription. Can you recommend something that gets me basics without eating my wallet? That is a great question, and honestly, I've never delved into virtual ergonomics checks before. I don't know if I'm that much of a help. I don't know if you guys have anything.
I haven't touched VR since Oculus 2. I am so sorry. Does anyone else in the chat have any recommendations for something like that? If anyone does, you could always just straight up search like FOSS VR ergonomics checks.
So can somebody clarify what are ergonomics checks for the uneducated?
Yeah, I read that as, if I have something that you hold on to, is it scaled and sized the way that a human hand would fit well with it? And if it's for a person, like maybe you're making a car, does a person fit well in there? I do have one thing that I can do. So I'll pull this up here. Uh-oh, I have a totally broken assembly. Okay, maybe it's not as exciting, but you can say on the Alibre forum, if this wasn't broken. In fact, I'll overwrite the files. I bet this could... okay, give me 1 second while I work through this. But I have a model of a human being, and this could be really useful for someone. I think this is going to work this time. You can go to the Alibre forum and download this model of a human, but then you can stick this assembly of a human right where you're designing stuff and see, how a 6 foot tall person would fit in there. And that really is helpful with ergonomics. You can position any way that you want to and see if they can reach and fit and all that. So maybe that's a helpful suggestion.
Yeah, and I guess that depends upon the size of the model that you're working on, right? So if you're doing something large like a vehicle or desk and things like that, then something human scale would be quite useful. I immediately go to trying to figure out something which is a common size for something smaller. So, for example, a monetary bill. If you're doing something that is the size of a mouse or something like that, scale, you could model something which is a monetary bill size, because that's pretty standard. And then you could place that next to the object, or, and you can use that as a reference point.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a monetary bill, right? It could be a cube of a set dimension that is in proportion to what it is you're trying to model.
Gotcha. That is something that I might like to look into, to have a little bit more insight on, because that probably is something that if one person is asking, we probably need to figure out a lot of ergonomic support recommendations.
Uh, so that's an interesting one. How to add special material to the library for example, PLA for 3D printing. So adding materials is actually pretty easy with Libre, but specifically for PLA for 3D printing is just a really interesting question because the 3D printing itself has different densities, and you do different densities and different infills and stuff like that. So I guess like hardness and elasticity and stuff you could modify. But for me, the most important thing when I modify materials is the density of the material. So what to that I would say, what use would you have? What are you going to be using the special material for specifically for 3D printing? Um, but then also what you would do specifically in the material library is you do a new library and just name it like 3D printing, and then you can do a new material, and you can just call it PLA, and then give it a density, and you can add all those values here, and then you can use it in your documents. But just be careful because again, if you're really wanting this density value, then the plastic itself might have that density, but the part won't because you're using different infill values, etc. So
Thanks, Adam. That's great, because I haven't added materials in a while. I was a bit rusty, and Adam swooped in and saved the day. Uh, Here's a good one. How would you scale that human model? I'll take this back
oh,
to
yeah.
my screen here. So I I don't believe that we can scale assemblies. I've never had to do that before. That would be nice. But what we can do is edit a part, and then there aren't that many parts with this. And one of the great things about being able to scale parts is I can do a non-uniform scale, so I can keep the width of the human but scale the height, or I can put a different scale on the width. So as people grow or shrink in their height, we can do non-uniform scaling to kind of match, what someone would, what 5'1" would be compared to 6'5" or something like that, because we don't scale wider as tall. Steve, I
So
see the gears turning there.
yeah. So what I'm thinking is, could you set the pose of that model, that assembly, and then export it as a step file, and then bring that step file back in and scale it on the import? Could you do that?
Oh man, I love that. Yep, that's a perfect solution instead of going part by part. Yep. Let's go
even
with Steve.
better even better is if see as Kostas would say, you make the entire thing parametric and you make each part scaled on the previous part so that so they all work together, so when you scale one they all kind of work together. But I'm not Kostas, I'm not that
How
good.
would how would that work if you needed multiples? So if you wanted to have mum, dad, and little Johnny in the model, right? So you got three different sizes. Would you be able to do that parametrically?
I would think so, yeah. You could use the equation editor or the oh my gosh,
I
I
guess I
never
guess what I'm getting at is, if you have the parametric element set up, would that be on a per model basis or per import basis? Because you'd have three of the same thing
that's
coming in,
true.
wouldn't you?
Well, you can, because you can do kind of I don't know how to do it because this is a Costas thing. So everybody go watch Costas Ex Machina Engineering on YouTube. But he does some wonders with basically making different SKUs of the same part in slightly different sizes and things. He does wonders with like global parameters and equation editors. So he would definitely be the one to look at that, because I don't really do stuff on massive scales like that where I'd need a ton of different variations of parts. But
I think we've just demonstrated there's more ways than one to skin a cat.
That's true.
Well, we're going to give Kostas some homework here. He's not getting out of this one. Global variables could also be a possibility for scaling families of parts. So the sky might be the limit here. But yep, that's a good follow up. Human scale is right. I'd like to experience it for myself to see where I would bash my head or lose balance to reach something. Thank you for trying to answer. Well, there was an attempt, but I'll look into maybe some other recommendations that I can make that might be better as well. So hopefully those assemblies and things help to incorporate the human factor.
Maybe one of the amazing guys on the forum will add a plugin to export it to like a common like VR sculpting software or something like that. There's a challenge for you guys. Put Python to the limit.
This next question is highlighted. This is something that I've experienced on 3D printing. So you have a model orientated in Alibre, and then you export it for slicing, and you find that the orientation in your slicer is different to that of the CAD software. Now, I've worked around this problem by just choosing. I typically reorientate the model inside the slicer to get the best either result for strength or best result for detail, depending on what it is I'm trying to achieve. But that is something that I've wondered: is it possible to change the orientation?
Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Joseph.
Oh, Adam, you had a great one using, I think it was assemblies or booleans, and then I had another one that used surfacing. So I don't know if maybe I'll show surfacing and you can do yours.
Sure, so absolutely.
That's a great point. Let me jump into my view tab here. And okay, so I got my triad right. So I got Y up right now. And there's not a internal way of changing this triad itself to reorient things. So we would be reorienting things by modifying the part. My personal favorite way, because I love everything all in one file, if I can manage, is I convert this to a surface. This is for pro and expert, right? There's ways to do it in Atom as well, which I think, Adam, you're going to cover. But in here, we're going to convert solid to a surface. And then I have this great move surface command. And so I'll select my surface that I want to move. We'll do a precise move. And then I'll choose an axis that I want to move around. Let's say that I want to move it 90 degrees. And I have not seen that before. Oh, wow. I think I chose the wrong axis, but you get the idea that we can start moving things around. Let me choose a different axis here. So we'll go back to a precise move, and maybe I'll choose that one. Wow, it's really moving. I haven't seen that behavior before.
I haven't seen that behavior before either.
But regardless, yeah, we can always move it again if we want to. But yeah, so I can choose like a precise move down this axis, 10 inches, whatever. So we can just move our surfaces around whatever we want to. I moved it further away that time. And then when I'm ready, when I've done all my orientations, moves, whatever, I can grab a split. So I'm just going to take one face and split it off. This is completely optional if you want to split a face or not. But now I've got all my surfaces here, and then I have one face all by itself. And I find that when I go to stitch to solid, so I'll click on stitch to solid. If I'm stitching multiple surfaces, it works very reliably. And there we are, reorientated. So now our z-axis is up or down, depending on how you look at it. So that's one way to rotate it. Usually it works so flawlessly without causing another translation of the part. But here we are in this example because we're live. Adam, I think you had one as well. I'll switch it over to you.
So, and I will also right quick cover this guy's really quick question. Pixel PL98, hold control and click and drag. I'll just be warned, it breaks all the coincident constraints, but you do not have to delete the lines. So there's your quick tip. So anyway, when I first designed this part, for whatever reason, I designed it on the wrong plane to start with. Now, if you do actually design in Alibre on the XY plane, you were designing right on the print bed. It seems a little weird because it says, the cube over here says front and top this way. But if you think of it as the front is your top instead, you are actually modeling right on the print bed. But of course, if I import this into my slicer, then it's going to be in the wrong orientation. So if I instead open up a new document and I can do a Boolean unite, so I'm doing this in Boolean. You probably could do the same thing in assembly the same way, but Boolean to me is just the easiest way to do it. Add your one copy of the model, and then you can just constrain it with everything being on the right. There we go. The right plane. And then, of course, from there, we can actually show reference geometry, and then I can actually lock it down a little bit more if I wanted to. But from there, now I can export this, and now I have Z upward. And if I put this into the slicer, then it will be oriented correctly. So there we go.
Thanks, Adam. I see another one. Are you selling the caps? So I'm going to put a link in the comments. Get your Alibre gear there. And you two can look just as fly as us.
It's not just caps, it's hoodies too.
Yeah. Steve is our hoodie model here.
Oh.
It looks like we have Joseph C. who's joined us. Joseph, let's get you on the stream. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, great, thank you. I watched one of your streams before and just listening in this time. Real fast though, about the VR question, I don't know if this will answer it, but there's a way, and I don't remember the exact way, to export out from Alibre, probably through a step, and then convert it to FBX. I may have had to use another tool like TurboCAD or something like that, and get your CAD model into Tilt Brush, which used to be a Google thing, but I think there's now an open source version of Tilt Brush. And so you can bring in the model, and then you can walk around in the VR environment, and you can get like squat underneath and look from below, or like in his case, see if your head's gonna clear something or something like that. The only problem is that program doesn't maintain scales in any kind of absolute way. So you have to kind of import the object in and kind of dimension it by virtually resizing. But other than that, it's great for doing VR interaction with your model. You can't move the models around like different sub-assemblies and all that because it doesn't have constraints and all that. But as far as being able to take an actual object and being able to interact with it, it's actually pretty good, and it's free.
Wow, I'm so glad that you had that.
Nice.
I mean, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I think the audience had a better answer than we did. So thank you so much, Joseph. I'm so glad that you came on. So it's free and open source. I don't know if you have any links or anything that you could post in the chat, but that is...
Yeah, I'll look for it real fast and then drop it in.
We appreciate you, man. Hopefully that solves the problem there.
The power of community.
Exactly. I knew someone in the chat would have the answer. There we go.
We are glad for every viewer here. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Joseph. And by the way, you have the best name in the world.
Excellent.
Not biased.
Objectively.
Sweet.
Hey, thanks again, Joseph.
Okay.
We'll move on to another question here. I thought I saw one. I think we might be a little bit question dry. Post your question again in the chat if we haven't gotten to it. Well, maybe it's that time. I made a promise that we would be moving into our V29 preview with Weldments. So
Ooh.
I'll get that set up on my screen and chase down a few models here.
Nice.
So before we get into that, can somebody give a 50,000-foot view explanation of what a weldment is to start with? Because I don't know what it is. So I guess I can't be the only person that doesn't know what a weldment is. And
Absolutely.
why do I care?
It has to do with welding, of course. So yes, I'll pull up a model here and share my screen. It's coming up here. So this is an example of a weldment that I created as a little test, work in progress. And I'm going to share my screen right when it loads up here. That's to load. Anyone heard any good jokes lately? All right, here's one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
OJ.
Do I want
Okay, who?
Okay, you can be on the jury. Okay, that was an old one from an 80s show that I watched.
Oof.
So this is an example of a weldment, very rudimentary. I'm going to have to do it, guys. I'm going to have to add in the... This is an example of weldment, right? I've got in progress in a very early development, an atom-like car, and it's made up of tubes that are welded together. When we want to make structures, you can imagine planes that face the right angle, extruding them, getting things to fit together, trimming the edges nicely so that you can cut the pipes in advance and fit them all together. This is a module that is going to make making these kinds of frames and the trickiness of angles and coping things very, very easy. Let's jump in and see how this frame was made, again, in Weldments. So jump into a simple window here. Does this make sense as to what we're getting at, Steve?
Just taking myself off mute. Yeah, it does. And if it's what I think it is, this is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. The chat can tell us if we did it or not. But so this is made actually from a single 3D sketch. In fact, let me break this down just so that we kind of know what we're all talking about here. I'm going to create. Oh, I went into the new part out of habit. Let's jump into a new weldment part. And you know what? This module is still under development, so we don't have that yet. So from the home screen, I've gone into the weldment interface. Now this looks deceptively like the part interface with 2 extra tools put in, but the final weldment interface is not going to have nearly the amount of tools that we have in here. It is not made to work with the parts. So those part tools that we have are just artifacts. If I use an extrude here, I can create an extrude, but notice no faces or edges are selectable, right? Because this whole module is not meant to work with parts. So extrude's going to be gone. A bunch of other things are going to be gone in the final version. We just have it here because, of course, this is still in progress and all the details are not complete. But I will keep this 2D sketch. I'm going to make another sketch. In fact, I'll make a 3D sketch. And if I start making a sketch in 3-dimensional space, I can say, I want the end of this to be on my 2D sketch, just like that. And then I can say, I want this line just to make sure that it's parallel with this axis. Right? So I've got some multiple sketches working together, 2D and 3D. Let me give this a distance here of something like 10. And I might want to jump into my 2D sketch just to make sure that it is large enough for my weldment profiles. Okay, well, let's build a weldment here. So first thing I'll do is go to my weldment structure, and I can select a profile. Now this is probably going to change in the final version, but as in our temporary development version, right? I'm just picking a file. I'm going to choose pipe for now. And then as I start clicking on things, we can see that we are building a weldment. Now you'll notice that I cannot click on this other sketch that I've made, but that's okay. So as of right now, I have a number of ways I can just generate the pipes, and they're sweeping along those paths, but we also have some corner treatments that we can choose. And then I can make another weldment structure here. And we can say, you know, that's all great, but if I have them in separate weldments, then we have this pipe inside of this other body. And we, of course, would want to take a circular saw or some other tool and cut that pipe so it has a fish mouth shape at the end of it, and then it will fit flush against that. Well, we have some tools that I can show in the future that are going to be able to trim these bodies relative to each other and be able to get that trimmed properly. So that should be a really exciting development. But as of right now, we were able to make a weldment very, very easily. And if we take a look at the more complex example that I have, right, off of this 3D sketch frame, you can use as many sketches as you like and get them all to work together. We also, in this case, have an example where I made this off of one single 3D sketch. So the 3D sketch module is complex and robust enough that you can make a frame like or one single sketch or many. And as I run through the tree, you can see that we just make one weldment at a time. And these parts of the frame. Now, Steve, if you've never worked with weldments before, how's this looking to you so far?
That's looking pretty cool. I understand what we're trying to achieve here, and I can see the tools that we're using to reach the goal of that frame. I guess from my sort of angle coming in as a maker, I may not have access to sort of like industrial type tools that would cut those fish mouths and things like that. So what sort of output options have I got to like get the ends of the pipes? So for example, could I create a template that I could print on a piece of paper to wrap around the pipe and cut it by hand with a disc cutter or a hacksaw or some other tool?
Yeah, I like that.
Because I immediately think of like a motorbike frame, because that's not a project I've been thinking of doing at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at that and thinking, that's pretty cool. How can I use this? How can I get the output?
Good question. One easy thing, I'm having a hard time finding a picture of the fixture, but there is a fixture that you can get from Harbor Freight or whatever cheap tool shop that you use, and it has a circular saw, and you can put a pipe in a fixture and cut it from various angles to get what you're looking for. Really, really cheap to be able to fish mount these pipes. Our weldment module is going to generate a cut list, so every individual pipe run here is going to be included in a cut list that will tell you the length of every pipe that you need to get. You can even figure it out, like the cost per inch, and have it calculate the costs for you as well. Hopefully that helps you edge toward a solution.
I'm having a squirrel moment, right? I've got about 7 projects in my head that's just popped up just because of what you just showed me. So
Yeah, good question. Can you make a pipe with a curve or multiple curves? Yeah, they are being made off of sketches. If I go into my 3D sketch here, hopefully this is an example of, different arcs that you can use. I don't believe splines or non-constant radius curves are supported, and they're hard to make in real life anyway. But when you have constant radius curves, then we can absolutely make a curve off of that. And what that might look like if I roll my tree back is, once again, I have these curves in 3D space. I simply click on my weldment structure, I'm going to again, and it doesn't have to be pipe. We have all kinds of things. I'll go with maybe a L angle, right? And here we can have bent angle. I call it angle iron. That goes all the way around. So hopefully that's an example of curve. Let me know in the comments if that answers your question about being able to use curves with weldments. But yeah, this should spit out exactly the profile that we need.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Looks like that last little bit might have also kind of answered, yeah, that one, Mark P. 4540. That last bit you just did might have kind of answered his question too a little bit.
Yes. So when you do structural steel buildings, it's possible to do the global 3D sketch and then assign columns as square tubes, use I-beams in all various sizes. Excellent question. Let's jump into the weldment structure. Here I have a bunch of bent angle iron. May not be practical, but it looks really cool if you ask me. I'll jump in here and let's go with kind of an S-beam. I think that's pretty structural. And then I can choose a new group and get those to interact. And we can even trim the edges off of these to get a real watertight fit. And then, of course, I can update this size to a larger or smaller profile. There we go. And get these to interact just like that. So for the structural steel question, let me know if that answers your question in the comments. That is a really good question there.
The thing that strikes me the most as a newbie looking at this is the speed at which you are getting a finished product. The fact that you can get those joints, you think in other CAD applications, what you'd have to do to get that in a finished state, the time it would take you, that looks like that's going to shave off a huge amount of time on a project.
Oh, perfect. Yes, yes. Because you don't have to figure out all these weird plane angles or do strange sweeps. It just kind of figures it all out for you.
I love that. That's cool. I can't wait for that to be available.
We're going to have a lot more features associated with this as we go along. So in future live streams, we're going to show some updated progress and changes that are made.
Okay, just a reminder, guys, this is not publicly released yet. A couple questions about that. It's coming out soon, TM, soon. Everything you see is subject to change. They're working very hard at it, and we're very grateful for what they're doing. But all of this is coming out soon.
So Joseph,
yes.
I've got a question. So you were talking about the cut list, and it would tell you how long, let's say, for example, a piece of pipe is for the cut. Is that the size of the pipe end to end before bending?
Yeah, great question. Let me pull up another example that I think explains it pretty well. So here I've got a structural truss that is loading up. And this, I always think about like going to live concerts because they have those things with the lights hanging on them, And what I did here is I said, okay, I've got this really, really long pipe. I set this to be 1,000 inches long. And then I go to shorten that. And once this is shortened, it's a different dimension, of course. And if I were to load this into a drawing today, the length would probably say 1,000 inches, and that's not reflective of what the actual length of this is. And I think that's getting into what you're saying. When we trim things or change things, what is the length going to be? And fortunately, that's going to be updated because 1,000 inches is not realistic. And so we are likely going to be going down the, I guess you call it the envelope box. So if I were to make an invisible envelope around this pipe, it would be the final longest length that you have as a solid. And so when you have that little fish mouth pipe, it's going to stop at the end of the fish mouth and not go further, not go shorter. So yeah, it'd be the parts envelope.
That's cool.
Let's see, now you can break the pieces apart and trim and put bolt holes as to draw individual parts. Yes, now the version that we're looking at, I can't put holes in it, but holes are part of the scope before release. So holes are going to be implemented in. We'll have the hole tool and all of that.
This
Good question.
is looking like, so if threads were like the golden child for like makers in 3D printing, this Weldments is looking like the golden child for like manufacturing and large scale work.
Absolutely.
Basically, like this is looking like a huge time saver.
As far as drawing individual parts from that previous question, I'm not clear on that one. That sounds like something that I really want, so I'll ask internally and see what that looks like. I can tell you that this is a different approach than our part environment, right? Each of these is its own body, and they are butted up against to each other, but they're not merged as a single body. They still have their own individual bodies. So a lot of development work was put in up front to get the true multi-body path in Alibre, and we may see some interesting future developments based on that.
So what we say, this is coming out in V29. Which
Yes.
versions of Alibre will this be available in V29 through Atom, through Expert, right? Which versions does this show up in?
Excellent question. V29 is planned for our dot release. So we're going to release V29. That's going to include all new user interface. And then in the dot release, V29 dot whatever, that's when we're going to see Weldments. As far as I know, this is going to be an expert release module. What other questions do we have here? How do we get Alibre to make their documentation more robust? There are a lot of tools and features that are only mentioned and no elaboration on how to use them. Great question. If you are looking at the documentation on help.alibre.com, I usually think that there's a lot of answers on there. If you see a gap, please, you can even let me know, joseph@alibre.com. Send me a message and I want to look into that further if you see gaps. We also have some YouTube content where we have a lot of demonstrated workflows and things like that. And that covers things. I'm kind of I want to watch someone do it more than I want to read about it kind of person. And so I think YouTube is pretty helpful as well.
So Joseph,
Yep.
Oh, sorry, go on, Adam.
I was just going to say there's also the user forum. They're really, really active and really, really good. So if you don't find what you need in an official video or one of our videos amongst those of us who make content, then definitely check out the forum as well.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to ask the question around sort of community generated features such as scripts and those sorts of things. I guess the documentation around how that feature or script that a community contributor has put together, you're relying on the community contributor to write the documentation for it.
Yeah,
that's the only caveat that I would call out.
Looks like he looks like he was saying he's looking for documentation on lofting, magnitude, and angle. So
gotcha. Lofting, magnitude, and
do.
angle. I'll look into that documentation and I'll check any videos that I can make too.
Thanks for bringing it up. We appreciate it.
Does this bring the ability to list solid bodies and multi-body part files in general? If I understand, that would be, if we go into the part environment, do we have true multi-body modeling? Is how I'm reading that. Let me know if I'm reading that wrong. In the part environment currently for V29, no, but it does give a lot of future enhancement potential for free, basically, because all the work was done in Weldments. So stay tuned on that. When dimensioning, can you not just select another dimension rather than search through lots in FX to find it? I don't know if I'm fully following that one. When dimensioning, can you not just select another dimension rather than search through a lot of FX to find it? Like our
Is that
equation editor.
someone? Is that someone in a sketch where they've got a defined dimension in the part itself, and they want to associate it all at the same time? So when you change one dimension, you change multiple elements that have that one dimension associated. So if you say the width of an object and you apply that in a couple of different places in your sketches, I think that's what it's asking. How do you reference it without having to scroll? Like, can you select an already defined dimension in the sketch that you
Yes.
can visibly see?
So the easiest way to do that is to, once you make that dimension that you're wanting, to rename it. I know it kind of sound, but like whatever this D1 dimension, if I just name that, I don't know what to name it, but main width or whatever, right? Now, whenever I make a sketch, if I type main width, or maybe I should shorten it like MW or something. Whenever if I just type main width in that dimension, um, it'll actually just make it that. You can just type main width here, if I've done it right, of course. But it will it'll accept that. So if I just rename this MW, and then like if I go here, this D1 has now become MW, and I can just type MW whenever I dimension things, and it will use it. So to me, that's the easiest way to do it. Is if you know you're going to be looking for a dimension, to rename it like that.
I think that comes from setting up stall very early on in your design, that you know that you're going to be using referenced dimensions. So, for example, if I'm designing a drawer, I know I need a width, a height, I might need a material thickness. So before I even start, I might actually start creating those variables in the system already and place the values in. And as Adam was saying there, you can just type in the variable name and select it from the list. And that's a way you can set yourself to win from the very beginning. It's a little bit harder if you're like 30 days into a project and you've got about 50,000 items in your list. But
yeah, I switched back to V29 here. I'll take the screen if you don't mind, Adam. Another thing is, as we add different equations and variables, you also have the option of saying, giving a name to something. And then as you have tons of things in here, you can just check something as your favorite and then sort by favorites, and it brings anything with a check mark up to the top to easily find it in that interface, in addition to being able to use the naming convention that you showed, Adam, which I think is the best solution.
Nice. By the way, hi, Kostas. Welcome to the party. He's in the chat with us.
Oh, did Kostas make it?
He's in the chat.
hey,
he says he wished he could make it, but he is in the chat.
Oh, thumbs up for Kostas. We miss you.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Actually, Kostas already on the job here. Step and I just come natively. Yep, I have imported step files before. It works quite well. We have covered 3MF before. 3MF is basically just a fancy zip file, so it's not just geometry. And STL can be done with add-ons.
Yeah. So for someone asking, can you do it without an add-on? Not currently, but there's a lot of talk about supporting mesh. I think it's, especially with the rise of 3D scanners, right? I think it would be useful for a lot of people.
I believe Max said earlier in a couple streams ago to let them know what you would want STL importing for, so that they can add the proper functionality for you in your use case, if I remember him correctly.
That is a big one, because are we asking, like, are 90% of people wanting to visually import an STL file and model around those dimensions, or are 90% of people wanting to modify STL files actively, right? Those are big different cases, big different things that we would develop for, and being able to capture, I mean, ideally we'd have it all, but if we can serve 90% of the people with something that's really easily done, then it's a lot different than if 90% of the people want something really complex.
Is there a way we can poll?
We could probably set up a poll on the user forum. Yeah,
that's probably a great place to do it. I have to ask right quick: is importing steps, is that for specific versions of Alibre? Is importing step files?
Uh,
Because
we should be able to import steps into Atom. Let me make sure.
okay.
I'm pretty confident you can.
Yep.
Okay, this gentleman's having an issue. If you're having issues, I would recommend double checking that if in Windows that you're associating steps with Alibre, or if you're just trying to double click them, or you can right click and open with, do it that way. Yeah, or try see if it's a corrupt file, like Ex Machina is saying, or if you're really having problems with all step files, maybe back up like your user files and maybe reinstall Libre just in case. You never know with some Windows updates nowadays.
The only thing I would say about importing STL files and 3MF files is that depending upon the complexity of the model, you might find yourself having some issues with how the system likes to work with it, because the more triangles that there are within the model, the more the software has to handle. And you might find your system starting to bog down because just simply because the triangle count.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. And so here on our comparison chart, Atom will have the same capabilities as every other license for STEP, SAT, DWG, DXF, and SVG. So hopefully
Take
that.
it easy, Kostas.
Kostas, have a good one, man.
Yeah, you're the man.
There is homework for you.
Right? Yeah.
Just had to post a
100%.
comment from Kostas. Yes, as far as I know, for V29 release, it's going to be late Q1 or early Q2, if I'm not mistaken. Don't take that to the bank, but that's around the general time.
The guys are working really hard on that, to be fair.
They are. If any of the devs are watching this, by the way, thank you so much. I know I've said this a bunch over the past couple of days. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, like you guys are really pedal to the metal. So we appreciate you.
They're going at a pretty fast pace. They got a big load right now, so yeah, we appreciate them a lot. Is there a way to export all the preferences and shortcuts if you have Alibre installed on more than one computer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You can export. It's in so. Alibre does have shortcuts for them, and it's kind of funny because I almost don't use them. I don't always remember. In fact, I think it's on the utilities tab, which I'm not about to show my license on camera. But if you press if you do Windows R and type the percent app data %, it'll bring up your roaming folder, which kind of has all of your settings for all your different programs. And you can go into Alibre Design and then your version. There you go. Alibre Design and then default user. And then you can see I have profiles for since version 26. You can copy these and back these up. And this is your keyboard shortcuts. This is your color schemes, your default units and all that kind of stuff. If you copy those and then paste them in the same folder on the next computer, it will subsequently fix everything when you relaunch Alibre. So you close and reopen Alibre after you've pasted these, and it should update most everything. So I believe there is a shortcut to this folder available. I believe it's in the utilities tab, but again, I'm not about to show my machine information on stream, but I believe it is available to you from a shortcut in the utilities tab.
Perfect. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
We are coming up on an hour, so this traditionally has been when the stream freezes temporarily. So if we freeze, just sit tight. We're coming back. Just to let you know.
Interesting. Best practices list.
Interesting.
So I'm sure there is some out there.
Yeah, that could be a good project.
It is. I mean, Cost again, not to toot Kostas' horn too much, although he is a genius. But he has a really good video on design intent. Might be worth watching. That shows a lot of that kind of thing. And I mean, you can always just kind of look at like a generalized CAD documentation as well. And honestly, it sounds boring, but there's tons of uh, help at like your local library on books on CAD, and some of them might be old as dirt, but a lot of them kind of have some good best practices stuff. So might be worth taking a peek if you're up for reading.
All new user interface. Can we choose not to use the new interface in V29? Will we have an option? No, it looks like it's going to be the interface has a completely different library behind it that enables a lot of good things that run in the background. And so it's kind of a one or the other. If you like the existing interface now, I totally understand. This new interface, it's a lot less invasive, and there's a lot of just objectively better things. Like instead of having things that force you to click, things can show up in the corner, and you have more docking window control, and it remembers your previous settings, so you're not always saying associate to, remember association when you import sketches. So there is a big improvement, but no, the short answer is no. We will not have an option to go back to the old interface.
Um, but the reasoning behind that is actually really really good though. Other than just trying to make the UI better, and I mean, as you can see, a lot of it's the same. I was just talking to Joseph about this before the stream. I'm a little worried about it too because I'm so used to it and I like it how it currently is. But remember, guys, that they're changing this UI to get off of some current dependencies, and the possibilities that are opened by making this switch um, are really good ones. No guarantees have been made as of yet, but I mean, to me, Alibre on Linux or Mac is worth it, and that's the door that gets opened with this change. So
Yeah, it's a possibility. In about 6 months' time, there's going to be an analysis to see if we can do it, and I'm hoping so. I know there's a lot of interest in it. I see a comment that I can't put on the stream, but 10 years of dealing with Fusion and recently discovering Alibre, cannot wait to jump ship and take others with me. And all I can say is welcome. We can't wait to
welcome to
have
the
you.
team. Check out the forum. Check out Ex Machina as well. We've been shouting at him this whole time. He's normally with us, but he has a lot of really good videos on switching from Fusion to Alibre. So check him out because he's really good.
And to be fair, I'm not a pro user, right? So CAD is not my day job. I was a heavy Fusion 360 user, and I've migrated across to Alibre. And I would say between 80 to 90% of the features and functionality that I use have been very intuitive, and I've been able to pick it up without having to go hunting. It's more the niche use case stuff that I've had to go hunting for. So I would say from ground level, you're probably going to get up and running reasonably quickly just because of how intuitive Alibre is.
Yeah, it was easy for me to switch over as well. I was previously on Onshape, and just Alibre's ability to just go in really easily and just modify keyboard shortcuts, super easy. And it's so easy that in fact I don't even use the ones I was using in Onshape before because I've found better ones that I like better. So, but I mean, you can really configure Alibre to work closely to your muscle memory, which is really nice. And then once you find better ways or ways your muscles would rather move, you can kind of fix that up too, depending on the keyboard shortcuts. It's really nice. Yeah.
Joseph. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You've selected a question that's further up the tree. There's a question couple of items down, but we'll address the one that's been selected.
Gotcha. Is it the book one that you were seeing?
It is.
Oh, you know what? One thing that I should say, not many people know about this, but we do have a book, as that other commenter Stub has said. So I'm going to put it in the chat. If you want a textbook, there is one. But I'm not saying that that means that we shouldn't collaborate on a book. But if you're looking for one, there is one. How can I remove sections of a donut? Oh, making me hungry again. We were talking about tacos in the last stream, and now donuts. Oh, the pink frosting with the sprinkles. I'm like Homer Simpson. With an interior flange.
Looks like this one might be one for you there, Joseph.
Yes, I'm kind of hung up on what the interior flange is. Is that like we have bolt holes on the inside, or just maybe flared on the inside? Let's see. Yeah, if anyone has a link to a picture or something, I don't know if I follow it, and I really want to answer that one because it sounds super interesting. No one mentioned pizza with extra cheese.
Oh man.
I mean, we did have the controversy of hard or soft shell tacos last time. We're mentioning pizza, pineapple or no pineapple. That's the next controversy.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go no pineapple, but if someone gives me a pineapple pizza, I'm still gonna eat it.
I like that we live in a world that pineapple on pizza is available, but it's not suiting to my tastes.
It's not for me either, no. But
let us know in the chat what you think, pineapple or no pineapple. And then I guess it looks like the donut has a whole disc to connect. I'm going to model something up here and just make sure that I've got the right concept of this question.
yeah. So that is the difficult part, right? Is taking words on a screen and turning it into a 3D model is crazy.
So here's a question for you, Joseph. Is there an area on the forum where people can post a more detailed version of their question with possibly adding pictures that they could ask the question during the stream that they can reference, and we can go and do a deep dive on the question itself?
That's awesome. Yeah, I might say in our forum here, and I'll change it to my screen, we have our topics, right? So alibre.com/forum, and go to, I'd say, using Alibre Design, and then maybe post a link to a question and see if we can access it from there.
That just helped give us the context of what somebody's asking, because it can be very challenging on a live stream to keep the context as the chat as it scrolls, especially if someone asks a follow-up question. But it could help us out answering the questions with more detail.
I totally agree. Just working this out here. Creating 4 independent sections of a donut that connect with the center. That's an interesting one because as of right now, we don't have the true multi-body modeling workflow. And so creating 4 independent sections from the center. I'll show my screen again. Yeah, so we're saying maybe we'll have a little cut right there and a fourth of a donut that's connected to another fourth that's connected to another fourth. That implies that we want to have 2 bodies that are touching but still separate bodies. And as of right now, that's not supported in Alibre, but I would suggest going the assembly route and make those sections in an assembly so that you can have those bodies butted up against each other currently. That is one of the things that the Weldment work space has opened up as a possibility for more supported multi-body modeling workflows in the part environment in future versions. So stay tuned. That could be something that we talk about. Hopefully that I've understood the question correctly and provided a reasonable answer there.
There's a question a little bit upward, just a little bit above the textbook. change the transparency of the planes and lines. Colors you can change. Transparency amount, that might be a good one for a feature request there.
Yeah.
And again, I'd hate to put more on the plate of the devs, but while they're looking at the UI, it might be cool to add a slider here on this general appearance, the shaded reference planes. Might be cool to have a slider or different levels rather than just yes or no. That might help them out. As far as color scheme, there are tons of different things you can do for categories and all this kind of stuff, references and your sketches and all that kind of thing. I'm not quite sure how much of this is going to look the same in V29, but this is kind of where you do all of that, changing colors and such. And it's really just something you have to kind of play with to get it how you want it. But once you do get it how you want it, you can save it and then do that method we showed earlier to get it like across all your devices and get it backed up so that you don't ever lose it.
Gotcha. Important update. Pineapple and Hawaiian barbecue sauce is good enough to allow it on pizza by orderer's choice.
I like that we live in a world that can happen.
You all are doing a great job teaching us how to use this wonderful program. I always want to put the nice comments on, right? Thank you so much, Wesley.
We do our best. So we're trying to take everybody. If we've missed your question, some of these take a little bit longer to answer than others. We're trying to get there. So
yeah,
and take a little while, but
and if we skip over a question, we're not censoring anybody. It can be quite challenging to manage the chat and questions in a live stream, and you can end up going down a rabbit hole. And then end up skipping over some questions. So please don't feel that we're skipping anybody. Again, loop back to the forum if we don't get to your questions, and the community's there to support you.
Yes, seriously, everyone there is really good on the forum. And even if you have critiques, guys, a lot of the people on the forum are looking to help you get the most out of the software. So even critiques on the forum, even that, a lot of people will be able to help you out or point you to feature requests, stuff like that. And Max himself is on the forum from time to time as well. So he tends to look at those and make notes of that kind of thing as well.
We try to be the most accessible, talk to you live, get the head people on the forums and talking to there too. So hopefully that's just one more of the many benefits of using Alibre.
Thank you guys for the positive comments. We do our best. Want to make you re-up for maintenance? I mean, yeah, and no one likes spending money, but not to toot Alibre's horn too much, but at least you don't have to pay for all the years in between like some other options.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And when V29 comes out, I can't think of a better reason not to re-up, right? Because of the features that are coming out.
Yeah.
I like this one. Let's call that a Taurus. Taurus is less distracting. I think getting hungry like me.
It is lunchtime.
Yeah, it is. Now, do we have any... Oh, why can the dog swim? Because he's a good boy. Oh, I love that one. I love that one.
That is a good one.
Thanks for a great session. You bet. Hey, I was here when Geo Magic came and went. Wow. Yep, that was definitely prior to my time. So if anyone doesn't know, right, the story goes that Alibre started as the very first web browser CAD, and it was in 1999, prior to Onshape. So Onshape can say a lot of things, but they can't say they were the first. And then Alibre became a desktop install because that was just way too ahead of its time with the internet speeds back then. Alibre was bought up by a company, 3D Systems, and a lot of the former Alibre employees were not happy with how Alibre was being developed and so on, and so they actually bought back the rights. And I believe it was in 2017, Alibre became independent again, as you know and see it today. So it was a really cool story.
I'm just doing mental gymnastics because making a browser-based CAD application in 1999, what technology was being used to make that work? Because you don't have the advent of all of the tools that we have today to help you like do stuff in the latest version of HTML and all of that sort of good stuff. I mean, Dreamweaver and all of those sort of things back in those days was kind of like cutting edge, right?
Actually, I mean, that was kind of my answer. Is the technology they're using was probably pretty close to Dreams. That was probably what they were on, is some Dreams.
Yes, it was powered by Dreams mostly, and some of our new features we try to continue to dream.
Big Design Energy. I don't know what you're looking for specifically. Again, Ex Machina Engineering has a really good video on a whole bunch of pieces of software he uses for those kind of things. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but he does his best to kind
What's the objective here? What when we talk about sim, what are we talking about? Sort of physics simulation? Are we talking about something else?
Great question. I'm thinking finite element analysis. Being from an ANSYS background, ANSYS is great for being able to do stress and strength tests inside of inside of a model. So I like Mechway. If you're an Alibre user, you might like Mechway too. Mechway is a perpetual license and it's a pretty affordable one, just like Alibre is. So there's a lot of similar philosophies. We've chatted with some of the folks at Mechway, great people. I think it's based in New Zealand, and they've actually incorporated interoperability with Alibre. So you can use your native Alibre files straight into Mechway, and there's a lot of simulation capabilities. So they do not only just straight finite element analysis with stresses and all that, it's got a great, easy to use mesher, and we have some videos on how to do it on our channel as well. But we also can do physics simulations, and I'm not as good in that department, but you can make a chain and have the chain fall with gravity and all that kind of thing. So Mechway is a really cool one. Here's what it looks like when you just open it up. But that might be what I suggest for that. And also, I mean, FreeCAD has built-in finite element analysis, and FreeCAD is a great companion no matter what CAD you use. So you can always have their FEA as well.
Yes, I was going to say that looks like that's what Kostas showed off as well, was using FreeCAD. So,
and again, depending on your use case, Blender also has sort of physics rendering, but to be mindful that Blender is an artistic CAD program, so it might visually look good. If you're looking for something that is more structurally biased, something that is more structurally accurate, how it would represent in the real world under stress and strain, Blender would not be the tool for that.
Yeah, like what Big Design Energy suggests also, the novelty of paying 10 grand a year for a simulation package wears off pretty quick. So I do like these affordable options that provide really good results. And like what you said, Steve, I don't know if you can do a cloth simulation anywhere else but Blender for free and have it be that good. It's just, can you trust the results?
I mean, Blender, I've been poking around with Blender on and off since about 2002. And I remember being absolutely surprised by the fact that it was a 25 megabyte download. That was megabyte download. And it compared, it was competing with things like 3D Studio Max with its simulation, as you say, with cloth, with particle simulations, with fluid dynamics, all of that sort of stuff. It was crazy impressive back then. So I should really check back in with Blender, because they really bent my head with the UI. The UI was kind of backwards to everything else in the industry, but the tool itself is pretty cool.
That is cool. I see some interesting comments here. Cleaning out some old software a while back and ran across the Alibre CDs.
Wow.
I
Now
love that.
that is a time capsule that I'd like to see. Post some pictures of them on the forum there, bud. I'd love to see them.
Yeah. We'll see you in the forum. User since 2010. On since 2009.
Nice. Yeah, Alibre 500 megs. That's pretty good too. Yeah, that's not too bad for full-featured CAD.
Yeah. It's nice when you can install something and it doesn't take 45 minutes to install.
Say, I want to know how big is my Alibre install folder now? See program files. Let's just see.
Should I show your screen?
Mine is, yeah, you're good to show it. I'm at almost a gig, but I've got expert and I'm sure a whole bunch of cached data as well. So, but still, for what it is, under a gig is pretty darn good compared to some other softwares I got. So,
You wouldn't want to download that on dial-up, though, would you?
God no, I wouldn't want to download anything on dial-up.
A little preview here. It looks like the V29 is currently 581 megabytes for
Nice.
the install file.
Nice. Really nice.
That's pretty slick. That is pretty slick.
I think that's something that, Steve, I don't know what your relationship with Linux is, but Joseph, it's always nice doing a sudo apt upgrade and seeing 14 megabytes of data will be freed up. All right.
Right.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
Well, hopefully 29 opens the door to other OSs, right?
There is a chance. We're all of us are sitting here crossing our fingers. So as soon as that releases, you know I'm going to be trying to run that through Wine and Proton just to see what I can do.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you. I want that.
I'm going to be doing my best here. You guys will be the first to know if anything good happens. So
there you go. We got a newcomer. Been on Alibre since December
Welcome.
2025. Loving every minute. We love you too, and welcome.
Say welcome to the party, man. If you got questions, throw them in here. Throw them in the forum. Honestly, I'm only about, I don't know, 3.5 years for me that I've even been in CAD in general. So
we can see Matt in the chat was balling back in the day with a dual ISDN connection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 60 260s bonded to 128. Nice.
So at the beginning of the stream, we had a question about ergonomics. And then we had Joseph C. come on, and he gave us some interesting information about how we can integrate with ergonomics. And he left us some links, so I'm going to stick these in the chat. These are from Joseph C. And I'm going to type that up here. Let me just copy these links down. So we're grateful to Joseph C. for joining the panel and answering an awesome question.
The power of community.
So we got another really good question from Big Design Energy. I don't know if you want to bring that up when you get a second, Joseph.
Oh, that's right, Steve. I got to give you some admin privileges here. Sorry about that.
No. All good. I like it when I don't have admin rights. If it breaks, it's not my fault.
Yeah, I kind of tend to keep hands off for the most part too, just in case. I don't want to be the reason that someone's entire hard drive gets shown on screen or something.
So Big Energy's asking, notice that Alibre has plugins and scripts. Could you guys describe the best workflow to utilize these?
That is a good question. We also have a Rick on the line, so we'll get through this and we'll bring Rick on. It kind of depends on the script. So there are some scripts that model for you. Maybe I can share my screen.
So for the uninitiated, Scripts and plugins, where do you get them? Is there
Great
one
question.
source? Is there multiple sources? Why would I want one?
Beautiful questions. Thank you, Steve. You keep me sane in my explanations. Um, so with Alibre, we have this scripting function or the scripting tab up here. And when we launch it, we click on launch, and this is all Python scripting in the Python language. And Alibre ships with some scripts. So here I have some examples. One thing I do is, if you ever tried modeling an involute spur gear, you know it is pretty complex and there's a lot of math behind it. But here we have a gear generator. I think Alibre ships with gear generator, and then V2 and DP are ones that I've added. So let's go with DP here. When I run this script, it lets me type in the number of teeth. And again, I'm going to do a really strange number, 21 teeth. Diametral pitch, let's go with 15 point some random decimal. Pressure angle, again, let's do a custom pressure angle. Why not? Right, so I can give this the ugliest gear ever. And when I click OK, it just generates that gear for me. So that's one example, right? There are other scripts that can update information on drawings in a very custom way. So the workflow kind of depends on what script that you're using. And I think you probably have to approach that with the same mentality of just making a model itself, right? You think about what's dependent on what and what's the best way to think about future proofing it. But I don't know if I can give a super specific answer just because of how general scripting is. You can make a script for almost anything. Wish I had a better answer for that. But Adam, I don't know if you have anything.
No, I was just saying that I'm gonna say that I would say a lot of them are probably on the forum. If you wanted to find something, I would also say that I'm definitely not anywhere near good enough to start writing Alibre plugins, but I'm looking to start learning Python. From what I've been told, it's actually a pretty good language to learn. So if that's something you were wanting to do, this might be a good way to get into it because Python's pretty approachable from everything I've done and everything I've been told. So
as a newbie, then looking at the script side of things, Alibre ships with a bunch of scripts, right? Is it just the gear generator, or are there more?
Yeah, so all these in the examples folder are going to be what Alibre ships with. So you have, part in STL exporter, part exporter. You have equation sketcher, so you can make an equation and then it sketches out the mathematical curvature of that equation, which is pretty cool. You have a gear generator. Yep.
So I was going to say, so would it be fair to say then that for Big Design Energy's question, it's actually quite complicated to answer because each plugin needs to be taken on its own merits.
Yeah,
so the gear
exactly.
generator, you would have one approach for this. The mathematical drawing, that's a different scenario. You would come at it from a different perspective, right?
Right. If you can see in my browser here, we have an Alibre script section. And so you can ask and answer a lot of scripting questions if you have any specific needs as well. And then under resources, I think there's a lot of scripting type of things in here as well that scripts that people have made and are sharing.
So I have a stretch there, Joseph, for a possible new video, and it would be one heck of a stretch. But it'd be pretty cool to get one of the devs on who works a lot with the Python and the scripting to kind of show like a rudimentary how the API works and stuff like that, and how the very basics of getting into writing your own stuff. It would kind of be a very advanced level video because you'd have to know Python to get something out of it. But it'd be kind of cool to see something like that in
that
video
would be
form.
cool, like a boot camp 101 level. How do I get started kind of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, again, like we were just saying, like reading documentation, it's nice that it's there, but some people do way better with the video. Just even if it's just the same basics. Here's the built-in functions. Here's how the API works. This is what you need to do to get your Python just working in general, and something like that, or maybe even just some kind of really basic walkthrough of writing a specific plugin would be kind of cool. I don't know.
That would be really cool. Well, we'll see what we can do. because I think that is probably the most difficult. I'm not very good at scripting.
Yeah, it's very. Neither am I.
Just to round off that question, then. So, in terms of plugins, what plugins ship with Alibre?
Right. I mean, as far as scripts, it's everything in this examples folder. File copier. You can pattern along stuff, which now we have pattern along. Sketch copier, right? And then there's some other custom ones that people post as well. So I don't know. Does that answer your question, Steve?
Is scripts and plugins one and the same thing, or is a plugin different to a script?
That's where my lingo gets a little bit confused, because we also have add-ons, which are different than plugins, which is different than scripting. So,
we don't do ourselves any favors in technology with our acronyms, and don't get me started.
Yeah.
The answer is someone on the forum can do better. Can answer it better than that.
That's fair. So, big design energy. I guess the answer, unfortunately, is it depends.
Now, Rick has been waiting so patiently. I want to give Rick a chance.
Sure.
We'll put you on the air, Rick. How are you?
Not too bad. Just curious when V29 is going to be released.
Yeah, great question. We're thinking early Q1, if I'm not mistaken, or I'm sorry, later Q1 or early Q2, in somewhere in that range.
Well, that's pretty reasonable. I've had Alibre since it started, way before GMO Magic came around. So keep up good work, guys. Thanks for
we're grateful for you, Rick. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
That's awesome.
It's great to hear from our longtime users. That's so awesome.
And thank you so much, Rick, for being patient.
Yeah, for sure. The fact that you've got users of Alibre that have been around that long, I think, is a testament to the software, right? If it wasn't any good, people wouldn't stick around.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I am not an Alibre employee. They're not paying me to say this, but I mean, how many people are out there right now with their current CAD software literally searching in their web browser alternative CAD options? Search on YouTube, Fusion alternatives, and I mean, you're gonna find tons. So I don't see a whole lot about Alibre saying that, but I'm a little biased. But
gotcha. Yeah, we have some longtime users back in September 2005. Wow. Nice. Still on V22.
V22, and you know what? It still does what you need it to, doesn't it? It works great.
Lifetime license.
Exactly. And Alibre is not sending you like, hey, pay up or we're going to cancel your V22.
And that's your files are not in the cloud, being looked at by who knows who.
The biggest thing too.
Yeah, I'm with you, Big Design Theory. I'm totally visual.
Yeah.
I think do you know what? I think the vast majority of creatives are like that. So it's visual / kinesthetic learners learn by doing. I definitely am one of those people. I think I don't typically read for pleasure. I only like reading manuals and tech documentation if I absolutely have to. I much prefer to jump in and plug things together and see if I release the magic smoke and learn that way.
We all love the magic smoke,
right? You learn how stuff fails that way.
Nothing like remembering the thing you're working on came out during the capacitor plague after you plug it in.
There's nothing like the smell of burnt electronics in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's amazed me that people don't think about the fact that the cloud is merely someone else's computer. I'm wearing my Alibre hat. Sometimes I have my tinfoil hat on and think about that stuff too.
So regardless of that, you've got to think that, you know, as well-intentioned an organization is, there is no such thing as 100% data security. There's no
even
such
on your
thing.
own machine. Even on your own
Correct.
machine.
Correct. I mean, the best way to not have a device hacked on the internet is not to connect it to the internet. And to be fair, with the Libre, you can install the software, you can disconnect it from the network, and be completely siloed and continue to work.
Yeah.
Not every CAD application can say the same.
Yeah, I think what is it like once a month or once every 2 months or something like that. It wants to verify your license, but I mean that's heck of a lot better than phone home immediately as soon as you open the.
And am
software.
I right in thinking there's an offline verification for that as well?
I believe there is a specific license you can get that is offline, if I remember right. I would have to be if Joseph or
keep us honest here. We don't want to
yeah,
be like
keep us
doing
honest.
the
We don't
old
want
AI
to.
hallucination here.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to confess, I was reading some comments and I missed what just happened.
How often does Alibre want to? How often do you need to actually be online with Alibre? It's something like once a month or something, right?
About once a month, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it
Is
checks
there
the
an
license.
Is there an offline verification for that as well?
We do have some offline licensing, and that's down to like once a year or maybe even less. And people have had some pretty crazy installs that we've done like that. I am not the one to be able to articulate very much, so talk to a sales guy. They really specialize in those kinds of special ones, but there are offline activations as well.
Wesley, you're supposed to keep the smoke inside the wires. If the smoke gets out, the wire stops working. Oh.
Unless you're an anarchist and that's what you're going for.
Now you tell me. I've been doing soldering wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
Nice. Any more questions, guys? Give Joseph some surfacing questions here.
I love this whole conversation happening in the chat right now.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, there's talk. Just digressing very momentarily while we wait for some new questions in the chat. There is a section on hackaday.com where they have a component abuse section. And the idea is that you use an electronic component for a use that it was not intended. So it's hardware hacking, like a capacitor or an IC to do something it was never intended to do. And I guess sometimes that can happen by accident. Sometimes that can be intentional, especially if you've got a flip a zero. You know, you might want to, protect yourself if you're designing some sort of project with electronics in it. So component abuse is not always bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I love my Flipper Zero.
This is such a good question here with, I think it's, if I'm saying it right, John, will there be more fillet options with fillets in the next update, similar to the corner fillet options like G2 fillets? If anyone doesn't know, right, you have G0. This is how things flow. G0 is a good, like that edge is a G0 where you just have two things that form an edge. There's no smooth continuity between them. G1 is like a fillet. So if I put a fillet on this model, here you have a constant radius, and then we go into a straight line. And G1 is where they're tangent, right? But there's not, it's a very abrupt change. If you go, if you're a math person, you go into the next derivative and say, we've got a sharp corner as far as the curvature goes, because we're going at a constant curvature straight. And so G2 is where you have a transition that goes from one constant curvature into straight or some other constant curvature. And if you go like a derivative down, you have a smoother transition. And so that's what's being asked here. Like, are we going to have G2 fillets? I'm going to say with V29, the fillets are not going to change, but I am hearing G2 being thrown around a lot more. And so if that's as much as I can say, but if there's any indication, I think G2 could be looming in the future at some point.
Is that a feature request already on the books, or is that a feature request in waiting?
Good question. I would say if you're interested in G2, let us know from your home screen on the suggested feature. I'd love to hear from you. Smoke is just the fragrance of every engineer. I'm going to say yes. Inspiration requires perspiration. That's sometimes why engineers smell funny.
I mean, you
Once
know
you-
the other name for sawdust, right?
Tell me about that.
It's man glitter.
I've never heard that one. I like that.
Hey, if you touch it, it's hard to get off, so that checks out. Well, thanks for sacrificing 94 minutes, Bill. We really appreciate it.
We got a surface question there for you there, Joseph.
It had to happen.
There we go. So I have seen some people do some pretty interesting things with thin extrudes. But as of right now, I haven't been able to reliably generate surfaces directly from sketches. But in theory, that's how you would extrude a surface, is with an infinitely thin extrusion. So yeah, that's an excellent question.
Be an
And
interesting, again, another interesting feature request to have.
and shout out TCTN is one of our heroes in Alibre, if I'm not mistaken. TCTN has actually done some Too Tall Toby competitions with amazing success, and so we're always grateful to hear from our favorite TCTN.
Joseph,
Yeah.
just to jump forward a second, and it's looping back to a comment you just made. Jan's asking, "What do you need from my home screen?" I think that's in terms of the feature request.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. On the Explore tab, there's a Suggest a Feature button.
happening.
All right, okay. We'll catch up after
Oh,
this.
it's recovered.
Oh,
I think we're live again.
hang on. We're getting like the
We've got the broken robot on the
Yep.
stream.
So any second here, we should be back. Oh, there we go. I think.
Yep, we're
live once
good.
again.
We're back. We're back. Yay!
Sorry about that, everybody.
Well, you guys all may be more hungry with tacos now. I mean, I should just live stream some big food eating after this or something. But yes, welcome back. Hopefully you got your tacos. So there was a surfacing question, and I should have pinned it here. Let's have a look. So yeah, it was ways that you can do splines and stuff.
Let's see here.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is it.
Okay.
Look at you.
Thank you. Yeah, big design energy. Great question. Let's jump into it. I'll create a new part here. So when we talk about surfacing, there are a few ways to generate surfaces in Alibre currently right now. So maybe I'll make a cylinder here. And when we go over to the surfacing workbench, we can convert our solid to a surface. And that's particularly useful if you need to work with one body and not another body, right? Some people call that multi-piece modeling because you're kind of working with pieces instead of true bodies, which we've talked about in the Weldments. Another way that we can do it, if I roll this up, is I can generate a surface from a face. And that way I still have my solid, but I have this surface that kind of hugs my solid. And then I can run things like thickening that surface. If you can tell, we've just made our solid a little bit more thick. So there's ways that you can use surfacing to enhance your workflow. But it really comes down to using one of those methods, right? Another thing we can do is delete face. And if I delete a certain face, the rest of my solid becomes a surface. And there you can see that surface that we created from our face earlier. But it's down to one of those methods to surface round faces and splines. We would start by making a round face and converting it to a surface in Alibre, or we would make something with a spline and convert that into a surface. You also can import surfaces. So if you're dealing with another surfacing software, Rhino is really good for surfaces. You can make a surface in there and bring it into Alibre as well. But I'm kind of an all-native guy. I want to make my surfaces and have it all in one file. Let me know, Big Design Energy, if that answers your question.
And then real quick, it looks like it's not letting me. I don't know if it's showing up in the actual YouTube chat, or if it's being blocked in general because it's a link. But it looks like we might have another opportunity to plug the Alibre merch store.
Ah, yeah. Let me put a link in there.
See, I'm trying to post it, but I don't know if it's going through because it's not coming up on this end.
Gotcha. Yes, so we have a merch store. I'll stick it here. You can get all of your cool things, right? If you ever said, hey, I really want to go golfing, but have an Alibre shirt, there you go. Mouse pads, baseball shirts, if you want to be on the unofficial Alibre baseball team. Right?
Nice.
So we'll take that link and I'm going to stick it here.
Hey, Bernie, you're going to love it, man. And honestly, like if Booleans is something you really, really need, it might honestly be just worth saving that little bit more because after the second year, Alibre is already paid for itself. Because remember, Alibre is a perpetual license. You don't pay that every year. So, I mean, Fusion, I don't know what they're charging nowadays, especially in British pounds. It looks like you might be working in.
I think it's around 600. Let me just double check. I'll double check that, but I think it's something like 600.
Yeah. So after the second year, it basically pays for itself with Pro. Because obviously, like the first payment, obviously the one-time payment at first is a little more for Pro and Expert, but then remember you're not paying that yearly. Like that's, yeah. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I completely get it though. I mean, Alibre Atom 3D is really, really powerful for what you get for your money.
Yeah,
So you're gonna love it, man.
it's around 680 money units. I think it's reasonably it translates whether it's dollars or pounds for Fusion, and that's per year, and that's year on year. What you got to remember is the Alibre is a you buy it, you own it, right?
Yeah.
So if you want the maintenance, then obviously that's an additional charge after your period expires. But in terms of the raw software costs, it's a one hit, and then it's yours. Plus, I mean, some people have suggested using the personal license. You're limited to $1,000 if you're selling things that you make. You're
With
limited to
Fusion.
1,000. Yeah, with Fusion, you're limited to $1,000 with Fusion, whereas with the Libre, it's yours. You do with it what you want.
Yeah. So good to have you, Bernie.
Yeah, for
Coming
sure.
from Fusion, man, check out those forums, check out those tutorials, because they're really interested in making Alibre work for you and answering your questions. So
Welcome to the
check out that
community.
forum. Thank you so much for being here, man. So,
Yeah. Well,
sweet.
I think we've hit all the questions.
Oh, we have one last one.
Oh, here we go.
And Joseph, I think this is another one for you because I think you just did a similar video about this.
Oh, yeah, dynamic springs. Let me pull up my model here. Let's see
Here's
here.
what I prepared earlier.
40 of 76 YouTube tutorials. Well, you just wait because I'm sure Joseph has some in the works already. And then when you're done with that, go look at his personal channel and then my channel and then Ex Machina's channel. And by the time you're done, you'll be like 85 years old. And
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I think I accidentally made this assembly in V29.
Oops.
Oh, hold on. I got V28 right here. Okay, here we go. I'll fire up Alibre again. So I have this assembly where, as I adjust it, the spring is able to update to be the correct amount of compression and size and all that. So Alibre fired up V27 for some reason. So here's V28. All the versions I have to have installed. It's a nightmare sometimes. We'll bring this dynamic spring assembly in there.
Meanwhile, Steve and I are just drooling over V29.
Test it.
I want to put that into Proton so bad.
So I've got the spring that currently is not dynamic, right? But we want it to be able to adjust to meet this face right here. So I'll go to edit here. And I think because I just opened things, it's taken a second. There we go. And I have to remember how I did this, but this is all design in context. So you have to go edit here. And now that I have the spring in my upper level assembly, I can say, if I have any favorites, I don't.
Should have named them.
I should have named them. That's right. Okay, yeah, it's this sketch. This sketch, I might just post a link to the video I made about this.
It's one of those things where, like, he's a little out of practice, guys.
Yeah, I cover so many topics all the time that sometimes I forget about what I've been doing. All right, I'm going to post a link to my YouTube video. That's going to be way easier.
Sorry about that, guys. We really like trying to give up stuff live, but every once in a while, it serve you better to.
Yeah, we could probably just.
There we go.
Guy. But there you go. So you can see how it moves and updates, and I kind of show how to get that in the assembly. But basically, you do a design in context, and then you can set a certain variable, right? So I make a line that from there to there, I can then say that spring height should match that line. So as things move up and down, you can get the spring to move up and down with it. Long explanation, but here is the dynamic spring video in the comments, which apparently I do better pre-recorded than live.
Yeah, everyone does.
The magic of editing.
It is magical.
Any other questions, anybody?
All right. Well, thank you all so much. We are so glad you tuned in. Catch us next time, because I think we're going to be covering some other software that you may not know about from Alibre. And yeah, we will see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care, everybody.